Joining me now is a spokesperson for Just Stop Oil, Kush Naker. Kush, thanks for coming into the Lion's Den. I appreciate it. I'll be honest with you, I can't stand Just Stop Oil. I think they are disruptive, they are incredibly annoying, and most of all, they're selfish. And you're going to tell me that, well, they're fighting for your future and for your kids' future. What I want to be able to do is go about my business without having the disruption and the worry that some mentalist is going to be in the road trying to get run over by gluing themselves down.
Yeah, so I totally get your perspective, right? It's that you're being disrupted from doing the things that you want to do to get on with life.
Yeah.
And that is exactly the tactic that Just Stop Oil has taken. They've entered non-violent civil resistance, and that means disrupting, in this case, airports, but across time, all sorts of different high-polluting industries. And unfortunately, like that sort of disruption, it wouldn't be acceptable, right? We wouldn't say that that's okay. But it's a case of, well, what's the other option? Right? Either we don't do that.
The other option, Kush, is they stay out of my way and they let the public live their own lives, make their own choices. That's the other option. The land of free choice, that's the option. Don't glue yourself to the road and stop the white van man going about his business. Don't stop me from getting to work. Don't stop my gran having to go hospital or go to a GP appointments. That's what they're doing. They are stopping ambulances. They're stopping fire engines. Just Stop Oil are okay with people's lives being at risk because they want to make a point. That's okay.
So I work as a doctor in the NHS, and I spent all of this morning...
You should be smarter than this. I don't know why you work as a doctor and you're still supporting these idiots.
I spent all of this morning in meetings about preparing for the next pandemic. Right?
Okay.
And the thing that came up again and again and again, one is that what's changing in the climate is going to put us at much higher risk of another pandemic occurring, just like COVID-19.
Okay.
And second of all, the changes that happen in the climate are going to put immense pressure on the health service, even without a pandemic, right? And when our health service is crumbling, you add the pressure of climate change on that and then add a pandemic on the top, the health system will collapse. Patients will not be able to see doctors. Patients will not be able to see their GPs because of the climate crisis.
You know what? Why don't you go, and I'm not suggesting that you are part of this lunatic fringe, you glue themselves to roads, but why don't you go and glue yourselves to the people who make the airplanes? Because it's been a tough year. It's been a tough few years for most people in this country. When we have booked a holiday, the last thing I want to see when I get to the airport is to be told, your flight's delayed because Just Stop Oil and their orange outfits are on the runway. You're not winning any friends with these protests.
So the target of these protests is not just the airline industry. The target is actually trying to get the government to end all new oil and gas licenses and to say that they're going to end oil and gas by 2030.
But they're not going to do that. We know they're not going to do that. The government not going to do that. And when Keir Starmer gets into power, he's not going to do it. So it's pointless. Just what Just Stop Oil are doing is pointless. And I'm actually worried for your friends. I'm worried for your friends in JSO, because what's going to happen is, as we've already seen previously, the public aren't going to stand for it and they're going to attack you. They're going to drag you out the road and someone's going to get seriously injured. Whether it's a cyclist going too fast, whether it's a motorcycle, whether it's a bus, someone's not going to see when some of these idiots in the road and they're going to say, oh, I've just injured someone seriously. At worst, someone dies from it because Just Stop Oil think that this is the right thing to do. You're putting your own lives at risk, and you're then also putting the lives of the public at risk.
So if we don't get off oil and gas...
We're not going to, but continue.
But if we don't get off oil and gas in the next few years, then we set ourselves down a pathway of runaway climate change, right? And that means floods, that means wildfires, that means famines. That means millions of people will die.
Okay.
Right? And I have committed my life to trying to protect people's lives and protecting people's health. And so... You are saying that we can't get off oil and gas, but that's not true. Like,
so you're saying
physics dictates...
We've got 2.5 years. 2.5 years before it's irrevocably we're going that one way. So if in 3 years' time, no government is committed to it, Just Stop Oil will have to stop what they're doing because it'll be too late then. But what you're saying, if in 2.5 years, after 2.5 years, there's nothing that can be done. So we'll give it 2.5 years. If the government don't agree to stop using oil, then there's no point.
I've not said that. What I've said is that we need to end oil and gas. Right? That we need to end all new oil and gas immediately. In fact, we can revoke the licenses that have been granted since 2021, because the licenses that have been granted since then make a marginal difference to the energy supply of this country, right? They do not give us energy security. They do not give us...
Do you guys have a branch in China? Because they emit a lot of bad gases for the planet. You should go to China to see what they'll do about it.
Yeah, well, I'm a British citizen, so I'm going to take action in the country where my politicians are responsible for doing what
but the Chinese are doing the real pollution. We should go and speak to them.
They are polluting, but they're also the biggest manufacturer of renewable solar power and wind power. So it's not as simple as that, right? And historically, this country has been responsible for around 5% of all emissions to date, right? So now we might be slightly less culpable in terms of, because we've got other big countries around. But historically, this country led the Industrial Revolution. It created sort of this dependence on fossil fuels, and therefore we have the responsibility. We are one of the world's richest countries, right? It might not feel like it to most of the people watching your TV show, but there is a lot of money in this country, and therefore we have the solution to be able to.
Are you not worried about the safety of your Just Stop Oil comrades?
Yeah, no, I really am.
Yeah,
and I don't want them to be having to take action like this. I want our leaders to be able to do the right thing without people having to glue themselves to runways. But unfortunately, politics has failed us, right? The majority of the people in this country want radical climate action, and that is getting off oil and gas.
Who are you talking to? The majority of people in this country?
Yeah,
I don't believe that's the case at all.
Yeah, no.
The majority of people want to be able to say, I've booked my holiday to Spain, I'm taking my family away for a week, and I don't want to have to get to the airport and be told, sorry, holiday's cancelled, and I'm losing my money on it because Just Stop Oil. That's what the majority of people in this country want.
Yeah, well, the majority of the people want both of those things, don't they? They want to be able to go on holiday, and they also want to have a future where their children can grow up and not worry about whether or not they'll be able to eat or drink. But did you see the floods in Dubai last week?
Yep, I saw them.
Yeah,
I saw them. I used to live in Dubai. It's completely normal. About once or twice.
It is not completely
once
normal.
or twice a year, we would have huge floods.
No, I'm sorry,
It would rain for
JJ.
3 days at a time. I lived there. You can tell me what you've read in your books. I was there. That was my home for 5 years.
JJ.
It was twice a year. That was completely normal to have floods. It was. Kush, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, Kush.
A year's worth of rain in a day is not normal.
I lived in Dubai.
Yeah.
The locals call it water puddles, but the flooding in Dubai was complete. I'm telling you, listen, we can get back and forth, but I've lived that experience. I've been there. 2 days of heavy rainfall was completely normal for us.
The meteorologists of Dubai are not saying that that's normal.
Thank you, Kush.